Far below the waves, deeper than Mount Everest is tall, there is a place on Earth we have explored less than the surface of the moon. No light, no reference points, just water. And wait, with every kilometer, the pressure multiplies until steel bends, glass shatters, and unprotected life would be crushed instantly. This is the Mariana Trench, the deepest place on our planet. And something happening down here, far beyond human sight, is quietly reshaping global power. For decades, the deep ocean was considered unreachable, too dark, too cold, too crushing, a place for imagination, not strategy. But that assumption no longer holds. Today, one nation is returning again and again, not just to observe, but to stay. What lies beneath the deepest place on Earth? Why does it matter right now? And how could the ocean floor become the next geopolitical frontier, not above us, but beneath us? You'll see how the deep sea, once ignored, once unreachable, is becoming one of the most strategic spaces on the planet. And if you value calm, factual science over noise, consider subscribing. To understand why the deepest parts of the ocean matter today, we first need to understand how the ocean itself is structured. Think of the ocean not as a single body of water, but as a vertical world, stacked in layers, each with its own rules. At the top is the photic zone, where sunlight penetrates, algae grow, and most marine life we recognize exists. Below that, the twilight zone. Light weakens, shapes blur, life adapts. Then comes the midnight zone, permanent darkness, no photosynthesis, no day, no night. And beyond all of this lies something else entirely. Below 6,000 meters, the ocean enters the Hadal zone, named after Hades, the realm beneath the underworld. This is not a flat seabed, it is a network of deep, narrow trenches, wounds in Earth's crust. The deepest of them all lies within the Mariana Trench. Here, pressure becomes the dominant force. At the surface, your body experiences 1 atmosphere of pressure. At the bottom of the trench, more than 1,000 atmospheres. Imagine placing an elephant on the tip of your finger. That force presses on every square inch, every moment. And yet, life exists, not fighting the pressure, not resisting it, born into it. These organisms don't survive despite pressure. They survive because they evolved within it. Their cells are balanced internally, just as ours are balanced to air. For most of human history, this world was inaccessible, not because it lacked importance, but because we lacked the tools. Every descent risked total collapse. But technology doesn't just open doors, it changes incentives. When we explore places this extreme, places defined by pressure, uncertainty, and isolation, it has a way of reflecting something closer to home. Because the questions raised by the deep ocean aren't just scientific, they're human. How do we cope with uncertainty, with pressure, with the feeling that the world is changing faster than we can process? In November of 2020, a small sphere of light reached the bottom of the world. It wasn't a probe, it wasn't a drone, it was human. The Chinese crewed submersible Fenduje had reached Challenger Deep. Again, not as a one-off stunt, but as a repeatable operation. In the months that followed, China returned, mapping, sampling, observing. For the first time, the deepest place on Earth was becoming operational territory. At first glance, the seabed looks empty, but scattered across it are rocks that are not ordinary rocks. These are polymetallic nodules, formed over millions of years. They contain metals critical for electric vehicles, batteries, wind turbines, and modern electronics. In a world racing toward electrification, these materials matter. Scientists are clear the environmental consequences of disturbing the deep seabed are not fully understood. And once disrupted, these ecosystems may take centuries to recover. if they recover at all. Here's something few people realize. Over 95% of global internet traffic travels through cables resting on the ocean floor. These cables carry financial transactions, communications, entire economies. Seafloor knowledge is strategic knowledge. This story is not about one country alone. The United States, Europe, Japan, and private companies are all exploring the deep ocean. The difference is not interest. China's approach is methodical, state-backed, long-term. Decades, not quarters. And presence changes power. Because whoever understands the deep ocean first helps define the rules for everyone else. Long before satellites, before nations, before borders, humans sought shelter in the dark. Caves were not symbols of conquest. They were refuges. And now, thousands of years later, we are drawn once again to the deepest places we can reach. Not because they are welcoming, but because they offer something rare: protection, resources, control. Every frontier follows the same sequence. First, curiosity, then exploration, then competition, pause, and finally, rules. The deep ocean is one of the last ecosystems on Earth largely untouched by industry. We know less about it than we know about Mars, and yet, interest is accelerating faster than understanding. The question is no longer whether we will go deeper, it's how. And together, or alone, let's return to where we began, to the deepest place on Earth. The deep ocean is no longer unreachable. It is mapped, visited, increasingly understood. It holds rare materials, fragile ecosystems, and the invisible infrastructure that supports modern civilization. So, how can a place so remote transform geopolitics? Because power is no longer defined only by what happens on land or in orbit. It's defined by who understands the hidden systems beneath our feet. The ocean floor may feel distant, but it is already shaping the world above. From caves to continents, from oceans to orbit, humanity has always been drawn to the unknown, not to conquer it at first, but to understand it. And every time we cross a new threshold, we face the same choice: extraction or stewardship, competition or cooperation. If you value thoughtful science, calm explanation, and stories that look beyond headlines, consider subscribing. Because while the world looks upward, soft pause, some of the most consequential discoveries are happening far below.